Hello, Selena from teas.com.au and Ampero. So you're thinking about setting up your tea brand. You might be already starting to research and looking at various things, like your market, your marketing, your ideal customers. And of course, you need to find a supplier that you can rely on. And there are, pros and cons in using overseas and local suppliers. And this is what I want to talk to you today about. So, firstly, overseas suppliers. Generally, with overseas suppliers, that implies that your quantity is going to be a lot larger. Now, if you haven't really worked out, how you're going to sell a fairly large quantity in a fairly quick way, I would recommend you to steer away from that in the initial phase anyway. And it's just simply, the economy, the hassle, because with tea, if you were just importing green tea, black tea, that sort of thing, they're pretty easy to bring in. But if you're looking at, some of the fruit items, especially citrus peel, some flowers, ginger, and there are definitely herbs and spices that are going to give you pain when it comes to quarantine, customs, and all that sort of stuff. So some of the herbs definitely need import permit as well. So with all that in mind, whether the overseas supply, even though they are going to initially look like they're going to be much cheaper for you, whether they're really going to be, worth your while, in the sense of whether, it's really going to be a good deal at the end of the day. And if you bring it in small quantities, typically it will mean that you need to carry it over. The cost could easily jump up double, just because of the postage. If you go by sea freight or air freight, again, it goes back to, a lot of importing work that is involved. And also, when the goods come into the port, whether it is a seaport or airport, who's going to clear customs for you? When we first started the business, we just really want to learn what that is like, that process. So we ended up, going back and forth around the customs and different places, people sending you to 5 different places. And, half a day later, you feel totally exhausted, being kicked around like a soccer ball. And, you clear customs like that if you are on your own. If you have got people doing it for you, then fantastic. There are definitely shipping companies that can help you to take away that pain, but it's going to cost you. So that's your overseas supplies. They're going to be cheaper. There's no doubt about it. There's obviously going to be a turnaround time frame depending on what you're after. There is the potential quarantine/custom issues and/or custom issues. And of course the pain if you are going to try to clear it yourself. The flip side, of course, is the local tea suppliers, like us. The good thing is that you are going to have much better sense of control in terms of, how soon you order. You don't have to project as much, in terms of, like 3-6 months, down the track. Because if it's overseas supplies, it can take, a couple of months, for the goods to come over from the point that you press a button and say, okay, send me the stuff and hand over the cash. But, of course, the other side of it is that, imagine someone has done all that work that I just mentioned, take away those pain points, quarantine, customs, organizing a stock, projection of, your supply and demand and so on. So obviously it's going to be more costly to get it locally. And some people say, what about, should I go and see the supplier to look at that setup? I would say that is not really necessary. And I'm speaking from my own experience. Trying to source tea overseas, going there to see the suppliers, everything might just line up and you think, fantastic, I got the right guy for the job, the right supplier. You come back, trying to talk to them, they don't reply to emails, trying to get them onto the phone, it doesn't quite work because the English is a bit broken or something. So there could be a lot of issues that are not relating to how well they set up and they, in the actual factory or whatnot. Often it's more about the communication. And I'm a bit of a control freak, so I like to make sure all the ducks are lined up. And yeah, if you use overseas supplies and if you haven't built up the rapport And if you just, judge them based on their price and, how well they set up, it's not necessarily going to give you a good gauge of what kind of service you're going to get out of, with those goods. I have good suppliers, good product suppliers that I have sent them away because the communication is not there. I end up babysitting them. It's just painful. You don't need that. So, there are definitely, different ways to conduct business. And like, hey, you're looking at me, I'm the owner of the business, I'm talking to you, really wanting to give you a feel for, what we are about. And if you feel that we've given you value compared to a lot of other suppliers out there, we're really helping you to go through that process of understanding how to build up that tea business. If you feel that is, giving you that confidence, then pick up the phone, give us a call. Better still, sign up for wholesale membership, and that will give you, a good feel for what we're about. And we take time to understand what you need. We don't just go and push out popular teas and just say adios amigos. So, yeah, if you feel we're the right, fit to have that conversation to get your tea business going, then yeah, definitely, I look forward to hearing from you. So again, we are talking about the local versus the overseas tea suppliers. They both have pros and cons. And I would say for most of the tea businesses in Australia in the initial phase, probably actually sourcing locally will give you the edge that you need, the flexibility in terms of, getting a good understanding of your own supply and demand. And when your tea business expand, tea empire expands, then, certainly the overseas tea supply can give you that other edge in terms of price. So I hope this is useful to you. And of course, if you have any question, any information, comments, questions, feel free to use the contact us form or drop your comment underneath the video. I'll catch you next time.